it's time again for the Dutcher Snedeker podcast. Coming to you live from Third Coast Recording Company here in beautiful Grand Haven, Michigan, where the beaches are beaches and the tourists are tourists. Where I'm looking at you from the side today because I want you to see what I'm doing. But I have to kind of crouch over the microphone because I didn't set it up right. But we're here. It's past midnight on Monday night, so I guess it's Tuesday morning now. And we'll get into it right about now with the Dutcher Snedeker podcast. Ooh, baby. How are you? I'm going to adjust this a little bit so I can kind of do the side profile. So, great way to start a podcast. My brain is at capacity for the day. I've been up for 14 hours at this point, right? It is currently, according to my iPad, it is 12:32 a.m. on Tuesday. Normally, I record these on a Monday, but I was preoccupied with other things. I had other recordings to make. One of them was trying to make as close to a realistic version of Take On Me as possible. There's so many layers in that song. I did like synth bass, and I was looking, I found a sound for that. I did like 2 different kinds of pads. I did the lead stuff. It all kind of interlocks together, and each section is like, it's like, oh, this, the verse is kind of the same, the chorus is kind of the same, and then, oh, this loop is kind of different this time around, and, these little differences. There's that brief little interlude. It's a good song, though. If you didn't know that. If you didn't know Take On Me was a good song, you somehow have missed it from the 1.2 billion YouTube views it has. So, got to catch up. But today, I am here late. I'm the only person in the studio right now. I have the whole place to myself. It's actually kind of relaxing because, doors are locked. I'm the only one who can get in and out. And then when I leave, I know I can, put everything away and, be the guest, I guess. Be a kind guest in this, this space I also pay office rent for. So I'm a guest, but I'm also, I contribute. So the only things I wanted to talk about today, normally when the camera kicks on, I don't really know what to talk about. And even with being tired today, I knew once everything got going, I wanted to talk about a couple things. The first thing I wanted to talk about, it's coming. The first thing that's coming. What should I talk about today? Let's talk about the fact that things are picking up again. Not much to say there, but it is nice to see that people are getting vaccinated, which is awesome. There's way like I can schedule a vaccine Like, I thought it would take way longer. I thought I wouldn't get one until the summer. And now it's like I've known, my parents have gotten theirs. I've known friends who've gotten there. Like, I'm starting to know more people who are vaccinated than people who I knew that had COVID, luckily. So that's cool. Right? That's cool. It's cool. It's cool to be vaccinated, kids. But really, it's this strange feeling of like things are gonna go back to normal. But for me, in the line of work I do, nothing's ever normal. It's always in flux. This past year was the biggest example of like anything could happen. The whole industry could shut down. Venues losing their space, places that were once thriving or had developed for a certain purpose, like office spaces. There's all these office developments downtown in Grand Rapids that are going to be converted into different things because all these workers now can work from home. So I'm wondering, with more people living downtown and more people interacting downtown alongside the development, I wonder how that's going to change the city. Because I've seen the little developments here and there. I've enjoyed, a new restaurant or a new place to shop. I don't really shop, but, I just see like, oh, someone opened a new business. That's cool. I'm sure they're nice people. I would hope they are. But I do think it's going to be interesting with a place, like the Listening Room or One Trick Pony or the Bob or, all these venues downtown are going to have increased foot traffic once everything starts to open up fully again. And how is that going to change the entertainment scene? Is it going to be more people wanting to do something and more businesses opening up to the idea of having live music? Is it going to be a more vibrant scene? Or is it going to be more people still kind of tiptoeing around what they want for entertainment? Or being very specific, the 20 Monroe, the bigger show, the Van Andel shows. Some people do that, and that's their only shows for the year. They pick like 2 or 3 big concerts, and they go see those big productions, big artists, big names, big ticket values, and that's it. But I'm curious, with everything changing downtown, how is it going to affect things? But I'm also aware that it could just, be a little bit more of the same, which is fine. But, I'd like to see more opportunities open up for artists. There's a lot of artists who have just been, they've been waiting and they're ready. Like sometimes it's, like, oh, I only have 2 Saturdays open out of the month because I booked everything else around other stuff. Now it's everybody's just like, I want to gig right now. So there's a lot of, I don't even know if it's competition because it's like venues aren't really open and the competition is like, there's barely anything to compete over. So it's really just like kind of putting your name back out there, tossing your name in the pool and being like, hey, I can play music if you want me for something. But that was a very short thought because I'm very well aware that I'm awake, but my mind is tired. I am a tired person. I still have to drive home. I still have to drive to Grand Rapids after this. It's like a 40-minute drive. I didn't really think about that. I always get, you get in a workflow and, you're doing stuff. I was recording things all day. I got things done. I felt really good. It's like it was frustrating in parts, but then it all just came together. And, it's nice to have a day end and you have products, things to show for it. Doesn't have to be every day, work-life balance. Don't know what that is yet. I know somewhat of what it is. I'm getting better. I'm figuring out, when I can say, like, let's go outside. Let's go for a, let's go for a walk. Let's get some coffee, walk along the lake, very, very like plain, like these little novelties like that people do all the time. They're just like, oh, we'll go to the store and get like a latte, and then we'll walk along the pier. It's like Grand Havenites do that all the time. I did it the other day. I was like, why haven't I done? I have an office here. I could be doing this every week. I could just take 2 hours, get some coffee, walk to the beach from the coffee shop, walk back. Feel rejuvenated, refreshed. Nope. I just hunker down and hope for the best. But that's changing with, this past year. Hold on, let me get some music. This past year really taught me a lot about what taking care of yourself looks like. It's not enough to just, lock yourself in your house and hope for the best. You gotta do the right things to make sure you're feeling good, you're sounding good, you're doing good, and, really being aware of how you can take care of yourself properly. Don't you just love noodling? If you're a musician out there, noodling, I'm known for my noodles, to a good and bad degree. Some people don't like it when I noodle during practices. I like noodling. That's how I get all my ideas out. And, like I could just sit down and be like, let's do this. You just start grooving. You start getting an idea and you start building off of it. Or, sometimes you pick a key and you try and sing along with it, like, do, 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 do. It's harder to, it helps you, it forces you to, like, think of your phrasing. Do, 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 do. Well, it's midnight and it's late. Nobody's here to hear me play the blues. 'Cause I rock and roll. Anyway. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which is I think is the core nugget of this episode, because I was reminded of it. I guess today's Tuesday. I was reminded of it Sunday, because this past weekend I did 2 more days, Friday and Saturday, 6 to 9, at the Listening Room in downtown Grand Rapids at Studio Park. Place your reservations at 123 the restaurant that's in Studio Park, I'll give them a call. Say you want to be seated in the listening room to get access to the show. Unless you don't live anywhere near here, then that's fine. But the other day, this was Friday, did the first show with Normal Mode, the trio that I have with Ian Thompson and Nathan Coles. I feel like the ownership's very evenly split because we all just kind of started gigging together because we were all friends. And, Ian and Nathan gig together sometimes. I've gigged, in the past with Nathan and Ian and separate things. So we all have our collective experiences coming together for this project. And we all put in equal amounts of work on different things. And it's really cool. So we were there at the listening room Friday. Did our sets. Great time. Probably going to post some videos this week. This week for, viewers who are going to view this on Sunday, it will have been this past week. But I'll also be putting up stuff in the future. And we did our thing, played great, I think. People enjoyed it. We got some tips, it's a good sign. People were like, hey, not only do you sound good, we'll pay you extra. Good idea, strangers. Do that. If you hear a sound and you're like, I like that, throw money at it. Because if there's one thing that I feel like all musicians will always accept from an audience as a response, you could be that nervous person who's like, I don't know, I just don't. But I don't want to really, I like the music, I just don't want to talk to them. Money. Just give us money. This is all just a pitch for money. And it reminds me, though, I have to make a poster with all of our electronic payment options. Anyway, I digress. It was a fun show. People are cool. Great vibe. Seeing a mix of friends, strangers, people who just kind of stumbled in, people who got reservations. Bam, bam, bam. And then, we decided to hang out afterwards. Rare occurrence nowadays, being able to not only play somewhere, but to relax afterwards, to unwind, to get a refreshment, sit down, enjoy people's company. It was nice. It was pleasant. It reminded me of like all the other times I've been on gigs where the gig's not over when the gig's over. There's the hang afterwards. You got, you might, back when I used to drink, I don't really drink a lot now. I think the last drink I had was like a month ago, and it was like, I don't know, alcohol is just not sitting right with me. And maybe it's just because every other part of me is beaten up, and when I throw alcohol on it, it's like, no, stop. So I don't know. I just know I don't need to spend that extra money or time or energy drinking alcohol and wasting a whole day just having a headache and feeling groggy and not getting anything done. Can't have that. But if you enjoy it, enjoy it. Alcohol's good. I like the taste, So there's your PSA from... But back to the gig. Or rather, after the gig, we, being the trio, we are hanging out. Bass player, Ian, is like, you know what? I got to go home. Gonna chill. See you guys later. He leaves. Great. I hang out with the drummer. His wife's there. We're having, good conversation. Having a good time. And then, who shows up? But a complete stranger, walks into our lives in the most, in the most in the most interruptive way aside from like shouting, which he was kind of close to, he was talking loud, but he was a kid. It was a 17-year-old kid. This kid, his name was Connor. And now Connor, he immediately I knew this was going to be an interesting conversation because he walks in to the listening room and asks, "Is this the Bob?" Okay. Maybe you just haven't been downtown a ton. This isn't the Bob. You're close. You're very close. You just got to go up a little bit, go down another street. You're at the Bob. You're downtown, so it's not that far away. Take you less than 10 minutes to walk from where we are over to the venue. And I thought that would be it. I thought that was the all he wanted. He just wanted to walk in, be like, "Am I in the right spot?" Because it looked like he was looking for something or whatever. Nope. You know what he does? He sits down by all of us. Just like it just inserts himself into our lives. This has been, you got to think of the context. It has been months, literal months, since I have, had a gig, let alone had a gig where I can feel comfortable unwinding with the band afterwards. It used to be a regular thing. Now, doesn't happen as much. You're either not, you're closing down a spot early and you just leave, or you get the sense that, oh man, we shouldn't be here right now. We need to go. And this is like, after the gig in the, peak pandemic, you're just like, I don't want to stick around and see what's up with this spot. I'm going to leave and be safe. So, total stranger, Connor, sits down, introduces himself. That's how I know his name. 17. So, okay, I can't fault him because he's young. He's a young, clearly charismatic person. Is asking about the venue. Do they present? He said, "Do they present music here?" And context clues would tell you yes. There's a full drum kit set up. There's a bass rig on stage. There's a Steinway grand piano, and I had brought some other keyboard equipment. Yes, you got it. This is a venue. And then he says, "Do they do hip hop? And if they do, they probably won't let me curse, right?" And I'm like, it depends on what's happening. First of all, he still doesn't know my name. He's just like, "I'm Connor. Do they do music here? I'm an MC." All right, cool. He doesn't start freestyling. So I don't know. Usually I don't know. I don't want to say usually. I feel like the stereotype is like someone says they're an MC, they start to freestyle. You don't want to be that person that's like, "I don't know, man. Work on your flow." Because I don't have that. My flow is in here. Very, very flowy. But so, okay, 17, asks if they do music, says he's an MC, then says he had ran all the way here from Wyoming, which is the opposite side of town. It's like a 10-15 minute drive from downtown. And he ran all the way here. So why is he here? And then it says like, "Oh, they probably won't let me smoke in here, right?" I have so many questions. It's like he's like aware of the conventions of normal businesses, but then it's just like testing it's like, "They probably won't let me smoke here, right?" No, where can you even smoke? If you are a person who wants to smoke indoors, you know the places. You figure it out. Your friends are like, yeah, man, this old dive bar, they'll let you smoke indoors. Like or some place out in the country, just like, yeah, you can light up a cigarette. It's okay. This is like, downtown. Downtown. It's like a city where there's like a lot more, ordinances and stuff. Anyway, 17. Had to remember that. Then, starts talking about his life, unprovoked. We didn't say, like, so why did you run across the city? Why did you run from, technically another city to downtown Grand Rapids? He just started saying, oh, the cops already been to my place, once today. And, my brother, he's all drunk. He can't cut. I don't know. What is this accent? But he's all drunk. It's like a bad Bill Cosby. Think of, he's a white urban child. He's the white hip hop urban child. I don't know. Wait, he's got the hip hop affect to his voice. We'll call that. What is the musicologist's term for? I don't know. It's almost 1:00. Just let me tell my story. Don't lose me yet. So he starts talking about how, his brother, like he basically starts detailing all these things that have understandably culminated in him being as far away as he possibly can from the situation. Cops been called at his house multiple times because of his brother. There's, he has access to a lot of liquor, so he's probably, just like partying, underage drinking, whatever. People do that. I don't have a thought either way. I didn't do it, but I'm not everyone. I feel like that should be a mantra people should say. I am not everyone. Because a lot of people think they need to be the enforcement for everyone. And it's like, no, Diane. Not everyone has to do what you're doing. But lots of stuff. Already, a conversation that's like, you're getting into the weeds of like, this is now a person who needs someone to talk to. So, and I'm listening because I'm used to these types of conversations between, the going to a church in Southtown and getting random, people coming in and out of youth group, coming in and out of Grill U, coming in and out of, all these different settings, schools, after school things, sports. I've heard all these conversations. People just need to unload on people. They just need to be like, this is happening and it's crazy and I don't really know how to process it yet, but I have to tell someone. And that was kind of his vibe. His vibe was like, I don't really know what's happening, but I also have these other things I haven't really talked to other people about, but I kind of tell these stories as a way to like seem interesting. So I stay engaged with someone. So he starts, unloads about his brother, his family. He's not crying. It's just like he's at this point, he is now the center of attention in our conversation. And I didn't have an out, really. I was just listening. Drummer and his wife, they both, they get their check and they leave. And I spend the next 15 minutes chatting with him. Well, rather listening to him. He details how he found an AK-47 in the woods when he was like 13 or 12 or something. Then starts to... It's weird telling this story because it's like he's not... I doubt I will ever see him again, and I doubt he will see this. If he does, it'd be interesting to like make that connection. It's like, do you know, like this was an interesting part of it. It was a very memorable part of the night. I remember, he had like a ginger hair, like a slight tannishness to his skin. He had a kind of a like a sky blue jacket. Not sky blue. It was a little bit darker than sky blue, but it was like a blue jacket. It's blue, like a normal, the masks that they give out for free. It was like, not over his nose, and it was just on his chin, and he's just talking. Anyway, found an AK-47 in the woods when he was young, and how that happened, where that happened, he didn't say. He just said he found it in the woods. Calls the cops because he's like, I want to keep this gun, because he's a kid, and he's like, this is sweet. It's like Call of Duty. This is like hip hop. I don't know. Hip hop's not all about guns. Whatever his thought process, I can only guess because he gave me very specific story points. He says, I call the cops. They told me I can't keep the gun, and they need the serial numbers. And I didn't know what they were talking about because because he's like 12, 13. He just wanted to know if he could keep it or not. And they're like, hey, could you bring that gun to us? We can meet you at your parents' house. So that happens. He goes to his parents' house with this gun. I don't how the skipping over the part of like, hey, I found this gun in the woods. Was it loaded? Did it was it just hastily buried? Was it just tossed in the woods? Was it, did he have to dig it up? Did he stub his toe and fight? Like, he didn't say, he just said he found it. And then he said he brought it to his parents' house. How did that he's a kid. Did he walk through the woods with the gun? Did he walk through the streets of his hometown with a gun? Did he walk through his neighborhood? Like, did he have to hide it in his jacket? Like, what? It's like, I don't walk around with a gun. I don't know what that's like. That's a weird feeling. So he gets to his house. He gets to his parents' house. Then he says something that's, it's one of those moments where you're like, you get a peek through the chaos into like the tender soul that is just buried underneath the crazy. Like, not him necessarily being crazy, but the surrounding. If someone were to pass by his life, they would see these storm clouds, and then he would be the eye of the storm, being like, I just want to have fun. So he gets to his parents' house, and he the cops are there. They say, hey, glad you made it. I don't know. What do you think they said? They probably said, like, all right, give us the gun. And then he was looking at them, and they had brought a canine unit for some reason. Maybe they were training the dog. I don't know. He says to the cops, can I pet the dogs? All right. This kid wants to pet dogs. They say, give us the gun. You can pet the dogs. So then he says that he gave him the gun. He goes to pet the dogs, and then he specifically says, I was happy. My mom was happy. The police were happy. Everyone was just happy for that moment. I was just petting these dogs. I was so happy. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were happy. Like, just, this kid starting to, like, have the little, he's inserted himself enough into my life where I'm like, you can achieve your dreams. And granted, I'm just like, nobody from the staff, nobody from that I knew in management, nobody was like coming over to me to like, even just to take, like, hey, you need a refreshment or a drink, or and then I brought it up, the fact that this kid existed for like, probably a half hour in the space. And everyone I talked to was like, I didn't see him. It's like, I have a very, he's not a genie. It's like he appeared and he said some things, and then I never saw him. But it reminded me, those kind of people exist all the time when you're normally gigging. There's always someone who's closing down a bar. There's always someone who's willing to overshare with a stranger because they just need somewhere to unload an emotion, and they don't really have anyone, and the booze hasn't really helped, so they need to just sit there and just kind of be like, I don't even know, like, what would be closing down the bar music? I don't know, bluesy. Is that closing down the bar music? That's closing time. But you're at the end of the night, and there's a handful of people, and someone's just like, yeah, the divorce, it's going rough, and you're like, you hear it, and you're like, oh no, he's talking to me. Yeah, man, that sucks. Yeah, she doesn't know. She thinks she's got it all figured out, but you know what? Those are my kids. Just like, oh my, hi, I don't know your name. You're drunk, so I assume the pleasantries are not there today. Yeah, you guys sounded great. You guys played great. You sounded great. Man, you guys come here that often? I love this spot, man. I'm out here like 2-3 times a night. Just like, all right, thanks, I guess. There was a compliment there somewhere. Sorry to hear about the divorce. Still don't know your name. But in those moments, you're also kind of like, I don't know if I'll ever see this person again. So might as well absorb the story. It's usually not like, I haven't been around, like a violent after gig thing. There were some times at Billy's Lounge where people who were thrown out for being, too drunk and belligerent would sneak their way back in and cause trouble. I remember there was a gig where the sound guy was trying to get a drink at the bar during a break, and a dude who had been tossed out came back in and just tackles him to the ground. I don't think he even had beef with him. He's just like, I need to start something. So there's those kind of people. Usually it's people who are willing. I don't know why. I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, there's so... It's like you want to be the person in conversation, but you don't want to, like... It's like, is this my new friend now? Are we best friends? It seems a little bit much for someone I just met. But, what are you going to do? People are going to say what they want to say. They're going to do what they want to do. As gigs come back, there's going to be more of those people, and there's going to be more of these stories. I know once I start doing weddings again, there's going to be a whole bunch of stories about weddings because weddings, that's when people are just like, they can turn up to 3,000 and it's just like, it's like they just go to their base instincts and they're like, I need all the alcohol. It's like, what don't you do? How is this still part of you where you don't have an outlet for all this? It's like, for me, I don't party because my outlet for all my energy is working on things and is my career. And, and it's the constant, battling against like, oh, you're a musician. You probably don't do anything, right? You just play keys, right? That's all you do. And it's like, no, that's a whole other episode of just like, and I've said it in other episodes in the past, just what the commitment. But I think it's fun to see these people again. Shout out to Connor. I'm sure he's working on something. I don't know. I didn't really, all I knew about him is he's got a very hectic life, and it's going to be a long, hard road of discovering who he wants to be, who he wants to surround himself with, who he has to kind of help or who he can't help, you know? It's a lot to deal with when you're 17. And I, you know, it's nice to hear those stories, but I also, you know, I don't want to be like, hey, if you want to spill your life to me, it is this novelty that comes onto a podcast. It's more of I'm reacting to my environment, and I'm reminded of the fact that this used to happen a lot more. This used to be a regular occurrence most weeks, you know, because of being a sound person walking the floor. You run into someone who's just like, man, this bass sucks. You can turn him down. It's like, it's like, gee, thanks. You know, you could just leave. Here's the best way to turn something down. Leave the room. It's too loud. Go home. I don't care. It's not too loud. You know why? Because I would have turned it down. Like, what always baffles me is like people who are just like their backseat sound engineering, and they're like, I can't hear the singer. I might want to turn up the mic. Can't hear the singer. You know, she's the star of the show. Hey, buddy, she's not singing right now. What are you talking about? Like, these are the things I think about every now and again when I'm just reminded of, like, it's like, what are you talking? I want to show up to people's jobs and like do the same things that they do to me it's like people think that listening to music gives them a license to dictate how their artistic experiences are. It's like, man, you know, this band's good, but ain't Leonard Skinner. Now that's a band. You guys should play some Skinner. Why? Do you just want every band to play Skinner? No. It's like, who cares? You know what? In fact, I'm not going to play Skinner. I'm going to let you go listen to Lynyrd Skynyrd, because anything I would attempt to play, you would then compare it to Lynyrd Skynyrd, and you wouldn't be happy. Be like, yeah, he played Skynyrd, but man, you were missing some of those hits, though. Some of those classics, some of the B-sides, you know, that a lot of people play. Just like, do you want to play Skynyrd? Do you know how to play your instrument? Do you play an instrument? Are you just trying to live vicariously through me? What's happening? Like, just the, you know, it's the mix of like the stubbornness of a viewer who takes it upon themselves to, you know, project their discomfort onto the rest of an audience. They're like, no, I don't think a lot of people are liking this right now. I don't know why they're all from vaguely Tennessee or Texas or something, but you know, those people are gonna come out again. They're gonna come out to shows. They're gonna come out to bars and see music they normally wouldn't engage with, and have an opinion, which you can have an opinion, but then they're gonna express it, you know, in a way that is going to make it to the band. And if you listened to my episode last week, you can't please everybody. So it's so I'm waiting for those people to come out of the woodworks and just be like, yeah, you know, I know what talent is. I saw Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. Did you really? I'm sure you did. I have no way to prove that. So you saw him. Good for you. You know who's still alive? I am. It's like, Hendrix was great. Just feel like I'm not doing Hendrix. Like, I don't know. People can have their opinion, but sometimes it's just like, what do you want from me? Do you want me to play the song that you're then going to compare it against the actual source material and then make comments on it so that you can feel like you're in control of an evening? Or do you want to just sit down and enjoy some music. I'm luckily not getting those people at the listening room. There's a lot of people who are just like, finally, I get to just enjoy something for a change. Just sit down at a place, have some food, enjoy some company, some conversation, some live music. But I don't know. That's where that all is. Where it's 1:16. I need to go home, so I'm gonna end the podcast. As always, thank you for listening to the Dutcher Snedeker podcast. If you want to support podcasts like this, you can head on over to patreon.com/Dutcher Snedeker. There you can contribute at different levels to get access to early episodes, private live streams, discounted merch, exclusive merch, a mailer newsletter, so much more. You can even hire me to be a recording artist, a consultant, or even giving you lessons. You can also follow me on socials. You can go to, DutcherSnedeker.com and check out all the different pages and things that I have up there. So, I don't know, support live music. Catch me at the Spread the Music Festival 2021 online with normal mode. This will be the following Sunday from when this comes out. So tune in. Support the Michigan Artist Relief Fund. Support your neighbor. Support all your friends and family. Get vaccinated so we can all do fun stuff again. And that's it. It's 1:30 in the morning. Yeah. All right, see ya.